almost out of energy, and it looks like the little one is actually just going to move over here and try to take out these forces. Goody realizes that though and moves his forces over to the side. So it remains to be seen if this attack is going to be successful. It is a regular orbital, not a planetary fortress that is moving across. It looks like a lot of SCVs are actually going down to the siege tank damage. These SCVs did get base contact though, so they are going to take out that siege tank. It looks like those Banshees are dealing a lot of damage though. High-sec auto targeting is finished, but the turret is still out of range. Very nice positioning on the part of the little one, and actually here come the replacement Vikings as well as the solitary Thor, which is going to be incredibly important for dealing with those Vikings as well as dealing with those Banshees right there. As you can see now that he's able to actually deal with those forces, he can now move forward with the siege tanks and take out the rest of the little one's forces. Very nice work on his part, able to save that expansion. A couple additional Thors are moving in as well. That's going to prevent any sort of sky shenanigans on the part of the little one, as he does not have cloaks, so he can't even kind of do silly things like that. Now he's actually getting ship weapons level 2 and 3. Is it just 2? Yeah, he still only has 2 starports. The high number of ship weapons upgrades indicates, first of all, that he understands the importance of winning the Sky War, not the War. Also, those ship weapons do increase Banshee damage by 2 a shot per, and Banshees fire twice when they fire. So that's a big advantage as well in terms of increasing the DPS of Banshees. Also, potentially it could help out for if he ever switches into battle cruisers, that could be effective as well. Now, it's going to be very difficult to dislodge. The little one is in fact on. Oh, is he moving in? He is moving in for a siege break, but it is not very good positioning on the part of Goody. That was not a very wise move. It is very difficult to break the Xel'Naga line, as they do have longer vision, so they can start firing as soon as they go within their 13 range for their weapons. In addition, there were Banshees and Vikings shooting at the Thor, so the Thors either had to stop and shoot the Banshees while taking damage from the siege tanks, or just take the Banshee fire while moving forward against the siege tanks. Either way, it's not a very good decision. Goody is moving a couple of Hellions just to make sure there aren't any hidden expansions there. Always good to be vigilant. He's also building a line of missile turrets. Very nice job on his part as well, making the most of that high-sec auto-targeting upgrade, which is very useful in these sorts of situations. We see a couple more Banshees coming out. Does he have... Oh, he does actually have 2 Tech Lab starports. Where's the other starport? How come I can't find it? Oh, it looks like these Hellions are going to move in and kill a decent amount. I think they had 3 or 4 kills there. Not quite enough damage. Very good response from the little one. The little one's also going to place siege tanks to protect against any sort of future incursions. There is a second starport. I think that along with the ship weapons upgrades, indicates that the little one is probably going to be looking into moving into battle cruisers at some point in the future. He also has 2 armories, is important to note. And he's getting the weapons upgrades for both. By far the most important upgrade. It looks like the little one did have to back off the little center area, and Goody was able to take this Xel'Naga watchtower. The cool looking Xel'Naga watchtower is worth adding. These siege tanks are now, oh nice, barely in range of that orbital command. That orbital command is going to have to lift off and move. The Vikings will protect its movement there, as Goody does not have a Viking advantage at this point in time. Is that right? Yeah, he is in fact down by 7 Vikings. The Hellions are trying to move around and see if they can snipe forces around there. I don't think he quite wanted them to take that route. He will see that that this expansion has not actually been taken. I think that Banshee's probably going to take it out. Goodbye, Hellion. Slowly but surely, though, Goody is in fact taking his forces forward. If we go to his... Oh, just barely out of range. You can see that the little one actually has to burn scans because the Thor is able to protect the vision range for his siege tanks. Whereas Goody, actually, because he has the vision of the Xel'Naga watchtower, which, you know, he's scanning right now, but it goes so far that he can actually do his little siege tank slide to push up right against this 3rd expansion, which shows you why this watchtower ended up timing out later, because these late battles revolved so much around control of that watchtower. Looks like that Thor was chasing around that Hellion. Nice job from the little one making sure... Oh no, it's Goody's Thor and the little one's Hellion. So he's actually doing Thor harass right now, which is just absolutely hilarious. He will probably lose that Thor though at some point, unless the little one does not in fact realize that the Thor is there. It looks like he does now, and he's going to have to transfer some forces to go deal with that. He's got 3 Hellions and a Thor on the way, as well as some repairing SCVs, which should be able to deal with that Thor just nicely. He is also better upgraded. He has 2 weapons, whereas Goody does not have any upgrades right now, so his Thor does considerably more damage. Actually does 6 damage more a shot, which means 12 more every time that the Thor fires, which is a very large upgrade in terms of these large combats. Looks like the little one is actually caught a little bit out of position, though. He lands the Vikings, but the Vikings are taking a lot of damage from the siege tanks. There is actually only 1 siege tank from the little one up here. So these Hellions will be able to take away that Thor. That Banshee is going to be taken out as well. and the little one's going to have a very difficult time actually moving his forces and his deployment right here. So apparently this game was so epic that it actually crashed my computer, so I restarted, I went back to the point I left. Looks like the Blue Flame Hellions were able to get in and deal a decent amount of damage right there. Goody has pretty good positioning around, but looks like TLO is going to be able to move in and simply break this. Landing the Vikings, actually. The Thors take out the Banshees almost immediately, but the little one's Thor is actually able to move in and deal a lot of damage against the siege tanks. The sieged up tanks, of course, dealing a lot of damage as well. And it looks like the better upgrades is actually starting to pay off for the little one there. Goody, on the other hand, is actually unsieging a couple of his tanks in the middle. Looks like he's probably going to want to move up against the little one's force up in the top here. He's got a couple of SCVs going up to be able to scout that position, or possibly, I guess, to try to expand up there. Looks like he's just going to dance around in the middle a little bit. Bad rally point right there for that siege tank, so that siege tank gets blasted apart by the defense here. Looks like Goody's actually just going to go for the break. He realizes that the little one actually has his forces split up way too far apart, and is able to move in and break this fairly cost effectively. It looks like Banshees are over here, not quite doing anything quite there. Targeting down the orbital command, he's going to want to target down that siege tank, able to target down the siege tank, and he's got pretty good positioning. However, he is out of backup siege tanks. It looks like the other siege tanks from the little one are moving in from behind, able to take out the rest of Goody's forces here. These Thors are now going to be sandwiched between a bunch of Banshees right here, as well as some siege tanks on the other side. Holy crap, that was incredible. So Goody decides to ignore the minor little force from the part of the little one, and that force was able to move through, take out this little middle section, and deal damage to it. Now the little one actually probably has enough siege tanks here that he could probably move forward and take the center. He opts not to be too aggressive though, and so he's not going to try to do that quite right away. Goody is able to take that watchtower with the siege tank right there. That missile turret is just a little bit too close and is going to be taken out right there. A couple of Blue Flame Hellions are now moving across. Siege tank is well positioned though, dealing a decent amount of damage. I think there's 4 kills on that Hellion, and the other Hellion already went down. So a decent amount of damage done. Definitely worth sending the Hellions up there. If you can send a couple of more Hellions, will also be equally effective in doing something like that. Missile turret going up to be able to protect this expansion from being sort of Banshee harassed from the part of the little one. And wow, even 31 minutes of the game, not only is neither player maxed, but neither player actually, but it's basically even in supplies. So this game has remained evenly matched throughout the entirety of it. Looks like a couple of Blue Flame Hellions are going to go in, though, and that might change the supply count just a little bit. Frying, oh, the huge one! Frying 6 additional workers right there, so definitely reducing the amount of saturation that's going on at that planetary fortress right there. Very nice job on the part of the little one. If we go to the income tab, we can see that the worker count is even. So it looks like this map is about as even as it can be. If you look at the worker or the units lost tab, that's almost even as well. Wow, I cannot believe how ridiculously I guess equal this entire game has been. Like, it's been equaled out, you know, like one player would do a dangerous push, the other player would do a dangerous push. Goody would be able to break the siege line here, but then the combined counterattack from the little one would be able to break that siege line. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen a Terran game quite like this. Normally, if they go this long, you know, they just have all the expansions and then they're like completely mined out. But in this case, it's want to be careful with his Vikings there. Does not want to lose those to that. And very nice position for the siege tank. Barely able to reach that missile turret. Actually, it doesn't even look like it can reach. But you know, normally it's like completely maxed out. They have all their expansions, tons of resources. This is a very scrappy game, and there's lots of resources. It looks like he's going for a flank attack right there. Very interesting choice from the part of the little one. Hopefully that wasn't spotted. Otherwise, Goody should be able to prepare for it, and actually that's probably the intelligent response to this sort of kind of a siege line, as now it looks like Goody will be sending a couple of siege tanks up to the top to prevent any sort of additional damage. Oh, and actually he wants to secure that expansion as well. Now the advantage Goody has, though, is his forces are all combined, so he should actually be able to theoretically break either one of these siege lines. You should have enough forces for it. Oh, that Thor is not going the correct direction. He is going to get taken out. But you can see how many Thor shots ended up and it ends up taking to be able to take him down. Wow, 4 Banshees with 2 weapons upgrades take down Thors rapidly. We switch back to the production tab just to make sure that that's up. We don't miss anything too exciting. I find it interesting that the little one actually hasn't transitioned to battle cruisers. He might have been planning on it. Oh, nice siege tank positioning, able to threaten rather that gas right there. Looks like the little Goody is actually going to put a siege tank in range. It was getting scanned, but now he's going to be able to take out that siege tank right there. And oh, there's another siege tank in range though, so it looks like they're just going to keep scanning each other. But I don't think he has the resources for it. Nice job from Goody, able to slide his siege tanks forward. He shows how much of an experienced mech player he is by sliding his forces forward and able to deal a lot of damage with those. The little one is a little bit of a supply lead though. And wow, and their resources are so low. I mean, despite being on so many bases, they are macroing so well this game. Much more improved from what we've seen from Goody in previous games. And how many factories does he have? 4 factories, and producing out of 2 starports as well. We haven't seen any sort of mass Raven or Viking transition quite yet. In fact, I think that Goody seems content to, he is behind in Vikings. He seems content to just let that go. Nice sniping on his part, able to take out a couple of siege tanks there. The Vikings are going to take down 1 Banshee there, but I think he's going to end up losing the Banshee war. And actually, a couple of Ravens would be extremely effective here. I'm not quite sure why they haven't quite transitioned to that level. The Thors, however, do provide pretty much the same job as they keep the Vikings away. Looks like the little one is going to be moving in here, though. I think, yes, in fact, the Planetary Fortress is upgraded, so you can't take any free shots, at least not with unsieged tanks. A lot of Thors dealing a lot of damage. However, Goody has even more Thors. Over the landed Vikings, wow, able to tank a lot of that damage, and the Thors up front able to deal a lot of damage as well. And Goody's just going to have to GG. Oh, I entirely missed this. The little one was moving in from this side as well, so when all these siege tanks move over to this side, the little one says, I'm going to unsiege all my tanks and move forward this way. And he was able to just pincer Goody. Goody was not quite able to control both combats particularly well. And actually, let's go ahead and move back just for a little bit to see if we can get an idea of how much damage was done in this sideways attack as well. So it looks like the little one is unsieging right there. There are only 3 siege tanks back, so he actually didn't kill that much from this side. But as this force gets cleaned up, there is this entire huge tank rolling force going through, about to take out these 2 siege tanks right there and basically destroy any hope that Goody had of winning this game. It's kind of interesting that he had the little one at that expansion and Goody at that expansion. Shows you what a crazy game it was. And look at this, 37 minutes, and I mean, like, the little one's not even, like, I mean, he's not maxed out partially because they fought, but, you know, like, his supply isn't even maxed. Like, that's incredible, like, how much damage they did to each other over the course of the game, that, you know, they hadn't mined out all of their resources, and, you know, like, they weren't ever fully in supply because they were just fighting so often. You know, oftentimes with these long macro games, you see, like, these huge situations where players just kind of fly around and don't really do too much attacking, you know, just maybe a little bit of siege pushing. But this game was just, like, constant action, whether it was blue flame drops or sliding tanks forward or busting tank lines. It was very exciting, and I'm really glad I got to cast that game. So, hope you enjoyed this series. This is one of the longest games I've ever casted. And definitely very exciting. I would say probably the most exciting out of all the games, and that was really cool, actually. The 2 weapons upgrades was probably what did it for the little one in the end. That's probably why he won so decisively here, where I thought Goody actually had a bit of an advantage. The little one also had good siege tank positioning, as he was able to target fire, or able to barely be in range for all of Goody's forces right there at the front, able to just melt them in turn. While the Thors were kind of bouncing around each other, possibly just targeting the Banshees. So very good, nice game, and definitely very exciting, and yeah, that's about it. This is PGL Milncraft, signing off. Thanks for watching.